Hello, everyone. Can you all see and hear me? If so, please type in the chat bar and let me know where you're from. Hello, Carol. Hello, Michelle, Victoria, Bridget, Lynn. Oh, Seattle, Maryland. Oh, hello, Missouri. I'm from Missouri too. Minnesota, Alberta, Seattle, Woodbine, New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey until about 5 years ago. We'll give everybody a few minutes to jump in. We have about 300 registered, and I do know that some people will be catching this on the replay, but I only see about 50 in the in the room so far. So we'll give it a couple of minutes. I'm hoping for no technical difficulties tonight, but we lost power today, and when we turned on all the electronics, things decided not to talk to each other and not work. So we're going to hope for the best. I had surgery a couple of weeks ago, if you follow me on Facebook, and had my stitches out today. So they're making me keep on this lovely splint. So it may be quite visible when we do some of the techniques. So please ignore it. So let's see. We have Connecticut joining, Winnipeg, another Minnesota, Washington, Illinois, Tennessee, another California, another Maryland, Oklahoma. We're from everywhere. Okay, let's see. Share a link. Someone is having some trouble getting in. Okay. All right. Okay, Texas has joined us. Candy, moving to Missouri. Well, I live in north central Missouri. I am about an hour north of Columbia, so about right in the middle between Kansas City and St. Louis. Hi, Florida. Hello, California. Okay. We'll give it, I have 7:03. We'll give it to 7:05 before we jump in and get started. We're expecting more storms tonight, so I'm hoping that it won't affect our broadcast. But I think positive, so we're just going to demand that it doesn't bother us tonight. Okay. If you can hear one of my dogs in the background, yay, MU. Oh, they do. Barbara mentioned about awesome deals on beautiful old homes, and there really are. I live in a town that's very old. We have about 1,500 residents, and I was able to purchase my home for cash out here, and it would have been about a quarter of what my house was worth in New Jersey, which was smaller than this one. So yeah, real estate is very reasonable here. Yes, Jane, I am showing the weather because I refuse for anything to go wrong tonight. We have too much fun to be had. Pardon me. I was just fine till I started talking live. Okay, I think we're going to get started in just a minute. Okay, hello, British Columbia, Canada. Mary, what do you think is not working correctly? Are you not able to hear me or see me? I'll give you a second, Mary, to answer. And if not, we're just going to get started. Oh, I know. New Jersey does stink on taxes. I paid a ton in New Jersey. Well, we're going to jump in and get started. I'm Sue with Irreversibly Moi, and welcome to the Texture Connection. Tonight we are going to identify, reflect on, and appreciate some special people in our lives while we explore some texture mediums. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I am an artist, an instructor, and an art abundance coach. I've been creating cards, scrapbook pages, altered art, mixed media, and art journaling projects for over 20 years. And my family teases me that if it's not nailed down, and even sometimes if it is, I'll create something with it. So I'm sure there's quite a few out there who can identify with that. Hello, Laura, another Jerseyite in the house. I'm going to do the best I can with the sound, but as I said, we've got storms coming through. So my site, Irreversibly Moi, if you're not familiar with it, features weekly background tutorials. Every Tuesday, we publish another quick and easy background tutorial. We have artist interviews. Just yesterday, we posted one from Jane Davenport, one of my favorites, as well as a giveaway. A giveaway for one of Jane's classes. We have lots of giveaways, usually 2 to 3 a month, and an art journaling kit supply club, lots more. And we have a couple big announcements at the end about some new things that you'll be able to find on the site. So let's talk about texture mediums. What are they? They are simply art mediums. They're thicker than regular paint, like an acrylic paint, but they can be used in a variety of ways to add texture, dimension, and interest to any art project that you're working on. The first one we're going to play with tonight is modeling paste. Now, modeling paste or molding paste is an acrylic medium that is filled with solid material. Now, I'm going to hold this up to the camera. Maybe you'll be able to see, but it just looks like white paste or white icing. You'll be able to see in a few minutes when we start digging in and playing with it, what it really looks like if you're not familiar. So it's filled with a solid material, and the result is a thick, pasty white substance. It almost feels like icing from an icing jar or can. And it allows you to create a textural surface. Modeling paste is opaque, white when it dries, and the solid material is often marble dust, but there are some brands that use an alternative solid material. It's made by numerous manufacturers, but the most common ones are Golden, Liquitex, Prima, Dick Blick, and Deco Art. More personally, I prefer the Liquitex. I just think that the consistency works very nicely with just about any medium that I put it on, or just about any color medium that I add to it. I think it's the easiest to work with. It's available in a light, a regular, and a heavy. Now, I don't have a heavy here, but the light, as you can imagine, is lighter. It's thinner when you stir it and when you spread it. The regular is, as you would think, it is somewhere in the middle, and the heavy is a lot thicker. I usually use the regular for just about anything. I like to buy products where I only need to buy one instead of 15 different ones to achieve similar looks. And I found that I can do just about anything I want with the regular modeling paste. Now, you can buy it in colors, but I prefer to buy it in white and add the color that I want to add to it to make it match my project. And we're going to show you in just a little bit how you can add different color mediums to make your modeling paste whatever color you desire. Modeling paste is available in both tubes and jars. I buy the jars since I use a lot of it. And I often find the more I have handy, the more I'll use it. And I think if you're not real familiar with it, you're going to love it by the time our evening is over. Give me one moment because we have someone else who was not able to get in. And I'm going to send those links real quick. We don't want anyone to miss out. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about modeling paste, and now we're going to talk about embossing paste and show how it's a little bit different. And yes, we will go back to the modeling paste and play with it a bit. Embossing paste. Now I have two here from Wendy Vecchi Studio 490. It's made by Dreamweaver. Here is the silver. I don't know that you'll be able to see that. I'll open it. And here is, let's try to just play a little bit. And here is the gold. Let's see. Ah, there we go. Okay. This one, the gold, looks just like a tan creamy icing, a little more like a gel than the modeling paste. But it does dry metallic. And we'll go back to this later, but this gold here was done with this embossing paste that I just showed you. So it looks tan, but when it dries, it will give you that metallic shine. And that makes it a lot of fun to play with. So embossing paste is an acrylic compound. It can add texture and dimension just like modeling paste can. You can paint over it if you like. You can stamp into it. You can use it on paper, canvas, wood, cardstock, and more. The paste, including modeling paste, is usually added to your projects using a palette knife, or if you don't have a palette knife, a butter spreader would work fine, or even a popsicle stick. Although I do find the popsicle stick is a little more difficult to work with since it doesn't have the bent handle. You're working with it flat and it makes it a little bit more difficult. But it can still be done, and we do find our ways, don't we? Common manufacturers of Studio 490 are Dreamweaver, Ranger makes some, and I believe Prima has some on the market as well. I'm a big fan of Wendy Vecchi's. That's the only kind of embossing paste I have. I find that it's just the highest quality, the greatest shimmer, and it dries to a beautiful sheen, where some of them out there will give a more granular texture to it. And when I'm working with the gold or the silver embossing paste, I really don't want the granular. But there's delicious colors. They're so rich, and you'll get to see a little bit later some other texture pastes that are more granular, and I like them when I'm working with a project that calls for that. So texture paste, on the other hand, is thicker than the other two, and it's a water-based paste which can be used to build up heavy layers of texture and create three-dimensional effects. So essentially they can all be used in Wendy Vecchi, V-E-C-C-H-I. Thank you for asking me to clarify that. So essentially they can be used interchangeably. Many of the techniques that we're showing tonight can be used with all three: modeling paste, embossing paste, and texture paste. Some of them you'll see can only be used with one. And generally, the modeling paste can be used in every way. The brand name of the embossing paste I use, it's made by Dreamweaver, and it is called Studio 490 by Wendy Vecchi. I'll type it in the chat box. It's not so easy to type with this. Yes, I will be sharing a list of the products. that I'm showing tonight. Okay, we're jumping onto texture paste. And I have 3 here, which I will show you. The paste is, as I mentioned, ideal for adding texture or layers of texture. And you can put it in whatever thickness you desire. So you can use a very little bit of it, or you can use it very thick. Lay it on thick. And once it dries, it will be a little bit flexible, but it won't crack or move a whole lot. Okay, so when dry, the texture paste can be scratched, cut, scribbled into, used for stenciling or cutout cards to produce a raised surface. So we're going to show you a few different ways that you can use it tonight. There are so many ways that you can use these products, but I'm going to show you about 6 different ways that you can use them, and in many ways use them interchangeably. When we start playing, I'll tell you which of the texture, embossing, or modeling pastes will work with each of the techniques. So, since this is a water-based product, the texture paste, I'll see if we can, there we go, texture paste. It can be mixed with any water-based paint or diluted with water. So if it's a little too thick for your liking, or you forgot to put the lid on, you can spritz a little bit of water in there, mix it up, and you should be fine since it is water-based. Just don't overdo it with the water or you'll have soup. And it's a lot easier to add to with water than it is to take some of the water out. For oils, it should only be used as surface preparation, creating texture on the canvas before you work with it. I don't work with a lot of oil paints. I work with mainly acrylics and gelatos and ink sprays. So I can use this on top or below my paint. But when you're working with oils, you want to put this down first and then use the paint on top of it. Water dispersed pigments can also be added to the texture paste to if you want to make your own acrylic paint with them. But the paste, texture paste dries to a matte finish. And as I mentioned, you can paint over it with acrylic colors or decorate it in any way you like. Texture paste can also be mixed and used in combination with most painting materials and mediums, such as sand or sawdust. So let's say you have, well, here is Platinum Crackle. I'll show you the container first. This is by Prima Marketing. It is the line created by Finnabair. It's called Art Extravagance. And this is Platinum Crackle. I'll show you what it looks like inside. And it's really just, it's kind of hard to see there, but it is an off-white, thick paste, a lot thicker than the other ones that we showed you. And this is what the Platinum Crackle dries to. If you can see the cracks in there. So let's say you were looking for the cracks, but you wanted something more gritty. You can add sawdust, you can add sand, anything to give it a little extra texture, even very fine beads. Texture paste should always be applied to a clean and grease-free surface, or it just won't stick very well. Some common manufacturers are Prima, as I mentioned. Ranger makes some texture paste. De La Rowney, Viva Decor. Those are the only ones that I'm aware of, but I'm pretty sure there's probably others out there. But my all-time favorite texture paste is the Prima by Finnabair. The colors are absolutely delicious. I showed you the Platinum Crackle. There's a graphite, and that would be this black one here. It almost looks like a shimmery pavement, and it is just beautiful when it's on. And I also have a gold crackle. There are a few others that are out there. These are the 3 that I use the most, and the ones that we'll be playing with tonight. So do you want to know a huge secret about all 3 of these? They can all be used interchangeably. with a few exceptions, which I'll show you. But the properties of each are a little bit different. For example, can you add paint to color the texture paste? You can. I would recommend a little bit of experimenting. So I work with a very fancy paper plate to mix my embossing paste and modeling paste. The palettes, the wells are just a little too small for me, and when I'm working with these mediums, I use a lot of it. So I would put a little bit on your surface, add a little bit of your paint, and then mix it up and see how it works. You may find you need more if it's a color that's deeper. You may find that you need a little less. If you add too much paint, it could get a little too soupy. And soupy's okay. It will dry. It'll just take a lot longer. But I think color would look beautiful in the Platinum Crackle, especially if you added a little blue maybe or teal. So absolutely you can. You can use universal tints as well. Again, I would just do a little experimenting. The golds are sometimes funny in how they behave with tints and paints, but you absolutely can. Absolutely. The properties of each of them, the modeling paste, the texture paste, and the embossing paste are each a little bit different. For example, gels versus pastes, matte versus gloss. But what you do with one, in most cases, you can do with the others. So other types of pastes and mediums that we're not going to cover tonight, but they work in similar ways, so I wanted to mention them, are regular crackle paste. This is from Golden, and it's similar to the texture paste with the Golden Platinum Crackle, but it is feels more like a modeling paste, but it has less liquid in it. So as it dries, it will crack. You'll see it's a very light, almost like, let's see how we can get you to see this. Let's try this. Does that work any better? This one truly looks like a frosting. It's a lot lighter than a modeling paste. You can use glass bead gel. And if you are part of our Art Journaling Kit Club, then you know we received glass bead gel in one of our kits. I believe it was the month before last. My bad hand does not want to let me open this, but it's, I'll find one. Okay, this is the Faber-Castell glass bead glitter gel. And I can't open this one either. But it is a transparent gel that has tiny glass beads in it. So it would be very shimmery. And I will show you one that is a project that is finished with the glass bead gel, so you can see it. I like to add sprays or paints to the glass bead gel to add color to it. For example, I recently completed an art journal page where I had raindrops, and the raindrops were made from glass bead gel with Delusions ink spray sprayed in. So I had just a hint of blue in each of my shimmery glass bead gel raindrops. You can even use gesso as a texture paste. In many ways, you can use gesso through a stencil. You can use it to add layers and texture. Although it's not as thick as a texture paste, it will do many of the same things. So before we dive into some techniques, I want to invite you to take a piece of paper and something to write with and make a list of 3 to 6 people in your life. I encourage you in that list to include at least one person who rubs you the wrong way, or maybe someone that has wronged you. But bear with me, we are going somewhere with this. So I have 7:24. I'll give you 2 minutes to make your list and come up with some people in your life. And it doesn't have to be family. It could be friends, relatives, neighbors. Just the first 3 to 6 people that pop into your head. But as I said, I do encourage you to include at least one person that rubs you the wrong way. Barbara, I see you're taking notes. While I won't be including instructions for the techniques tonight in the handout, I will be including a handout. I'll send it to you with the replay. So you'll be able to watch this over and over again if you desire. And the handout will include a recipe to make your own modeling paste from scratch. If budget is an issue, you can make it yourself. And it will include some more resources. It'll include an article that I wrote explaining the difference between the 3 products we've talked about tonight. And it will include some other great info for you. Okay. Now, if you have some cardstock or tags or whatever it is that you plan on practicing your techniques on, I'd like you to write the names of those people on the back of those tags or work surfaces. So for example, I'm working on tags. So I'm going to write the name of each of the people on my list on the back of the tag at the top. And then we'll use the front for the technique. So I will give you another minute or 2 to do that. And then we have some texture paste to play with. If you don't already follow my website, Monday through Friday, I post something having to do with art or art journaling every day. As I mentioned, we have artist interviews. We have, each Tuesday is Bevy of Art Journal Backgrounds. The first Friday of each month, we have art journaling prompts. And we do product spotlights where sometimes we're highlighting a company and other times we're highlighting products. So for example, last week we talked about paper trimmers. And in upcoming series, we'll talk about twinkling H2Os. So we have a lot of different things there. So especially if you're new to art journaling or mixed media, there's so many resources on the site for you. And there's even an art resources page where you'll find color charts and links to free images that you can use in your project. So be sure to check out irreversiblymoi.com and play around there. There's so much to look at. Barbara, that I would be delighted if you want to send that to me. You can send me photos at irreversiblymoi@gmail.com. That would be great. Okay, so just as the properties of texture pastes, including modeling paste and embossing paste, and the texture paste are similar, they're also unique. So are the people in our lives. As we go through these techniques and see the various ways to use these products, I'd like you to reflect on the people that you have on your list and what makes them unique or special, or even irritating. Now, because we only have an hour or so, we won't go into too much depth on the techniques. So for example, I'll show you a technique, but rather than waiting for it to dry, I already have one that is dried that we'll finish the project on. And even the connection exercises. I will give you some information, but I will send a handout with additional information as well, including some journaling prompts for you as you reflect on these people that you've written down. I'll put the website in the chat bar. Hopefully That's correct. I can't see very well. Okay, so we're going to start with some modeling paste. I have regular modeling paste here. And I am going to take, give me one second. I need an assistant here since I only have one good hand to work with. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay. So I have my modeling paste here, and I'm going to put 4 blobs of this modeling paste on my very, very fancy Walmart brand paper plates. Okay, now I can use the modeling paste just as it is, simply white, or I can add color to it. Now, we talked before about what you can use to color your pastes. Here, I'm spraying, this is Delusions ink. And it's almost out, so, but I just put a little bit there. And you can see how the Delusions ink continues to stay very vibrant in the modeling paste. Okay. Grab a paper towel, wipe that off, and now I'm going to take just regular apple barrel paint. It's not fancy. I'm going to put a few drops in this blob of modeling paste. You can see the more you mix it in, the lighter the color will get as it mixes with the white. So this is a great way to match your projects. You can just continue to add paint or medium until you get to the color you're looking for. Another thing that you can use is gelatos. If you're not familiar with gelatos, they are a waxed-based pigment. They look like a lipstick container. I use them for so many different things, but I'm just going to scrape a little bit of color onto my modeling paste, little bit of this. I just used a craft stick or popsicle stick to do that. And you can see, the only thing with the gelatos is I find you need to use a lot more of the gelatos to get a deeper color than you do with the paint or with the ink spray. Now I'm going to spread these out on a tag to see the different variations of colors and textures after we've added the color. I'm also going to use a distress reinker for our final color here. Now I did not have a bright reinker, and of course distress is not very bright, but I wanted to continue with the pink color palette. This one is Tattered Rose. Okay. Now I'm going to just swipe this here. Take the next one, which is the gelatos. Ah, I love it. I put texture paste of one form or another on probably 80% of my art journaling projects. Okay. I'm back. Okay. So starting at the top, these are all modeling paste. The top one was Delusions ink spray. The second one was acrylic paint. The third one is gelatos. And the fourth one is re-inker. Now, I don't know if you can really see the colors as well, especially the bottom one is really not picking up the white. Now, in the gelato, I could have mixed this a little longer and I wouldn't have had the pink flakes, but I kind of like the way that looks, to tell you the truth, with the flakes. Let's see if this helps with the light. Is that better? Okay. Now, I think it's time for you to play. Grab a paper plate or a palette. If you have modeling paste, put a little blob like I did in 4 different spots, and then give it a shot. Put a little bit of color in each, mix it up, and let us know how you do. I'll give everybody about 3-4 minutes to give that a try if you have your art supplies handy. If not, I'll leave the floor open so that you can ask any questions and while other people play. And then we'll go on to the next technique. Hello, Arlene from New York. Now, if you do it on your tag, like I did here, it's going to take a little bit to dry. So put this aside to dry, and when our tags are dry, we're going to do some journaling on the back about each of the people that we mentioned earlier on our lists. The brand of modeling paste that I prefer is Liquitex, although Golden makes it as well, Dick Blick. There's a lot of different ones out there. My Walmart even sells modeling paste, so it's pretty well available. But as I said in the handout that you'll receive tonight, you'll be receiving a recipe to make your own modeling paste. Hello, Sandra from England. You were up very early, Sandra. Mod Podge. Mod Podge is, it's a glue, essentially. It can be used to adhere different things from paper to embellishments to your projects. You can also use matte gel in the same way. If you use a heat gun, what I found is that it will dry the surface only, and underneath will still take a little bit to dry. It really won't change the look unless you hold the heat over the surface too long and it'll start to bubble up. Sometimes I do that because I like it. I like the bubbling. I like the extra texture. I've always joked that I like my art to be like my rear end, lumpy and bumpy. So, but it really won't change the look. Would you like a few more minutes to play with your color mediums in your modeling paste? Just put a few more minutes. Do I ever use spackle or drywall compound? I have. I think, in my opinion, that's what I used at first before I bit the bullet and bought my bought some modeling paste. To me, it dries too chalky. And I like the nice matte finish or the glossy finish, depending on what I'm working on. I don't really like the chalk finish too much. Oh, Sandra, that's so sweet. I use, I'll show you the palette knives that I use. I use 2, and I'll tell you which one my favorite is. Honestly, my favorite one is probably, I don't even know if it's considered a texture, or rather palette knife. It is Faber-Castell. This is the metal one. And this was sold in a set with Gelato's tools. I think this one works great. But I use a lot of the Grumbacher palette knives. Now the ones I'm using tonight are on the smaller side. No worries, Trish. You can always catch the beginning on the replay, and there'll be a handout sent after the workshop as well. Now, as far, Laura Ann, as just getting part of the stencil, sometimes I use washi tape or painter's tape and will mask off a section that I don't want to get on the stencil. So if I just want to do a flower and I don't want to get the leaves, I'll put the masking tape or painter's tape or washi tape over the leaf if I just want the flower, so that I'm not getting the modeling paste where I don't want it. Okay. All right, does anybody need any more time to play? Okay. All right. I'll show you, previously I did these. And these are the same, it's modeling paste, but it's using the same color mediums that I just showed you. But this is how they dried. I don't know if you can see that real well, but we have the Gelatos. We have acrylic paint. We have a re-inker, and we have the ink spray. But you can see they all dry just a little bit differently, just because some of the mediums that we've added to it are wetter than others. Okay, so now we're going to grab a stencil, and hopefully this will answer some of that question there, Laura Ann. Okay. All right. I have a tag. So you'll take your next work surface and write, if you haven't already, write the name of one of your people that you thought of before on the back. How does alcohol ink react with the paste? I really don't know, but what do you say we give it a try? So why don't you remind me once we're done with the other techniques, and we'll give it a try. Okay. Okay, I am taking a stencil. This is one of the stencils from Stencil Girl. I have a real bad addiction to stencils. I have hundreds. So I'm going to tilt the camera down again so you can see. And I'm going to use modeling paste. Going to use modeling paste for this technique. Okay, now this one I'm not going to mask off any because I want to show you several different things, but all you're going to do is spread it just like you would spread peanut butter or icing. I think it's subliminal, but whenever I work with modeling paste, I crave cake. I think it's because I'm thinking of this as icing, and this sure looks like vanilla icing to me. Now we can be super neat and go over the edges here. Now you can go very thick or thin. I just am going to put a medium coat on it. Just scrape it off. You can be very careful if you like so that you don't really show lines in it. None of that really bothers me because, as I said, I love the texture. Now what I would recommend is you hold a corner of it and gently lift. I'm going to lift this back up. Yes, Jude, I am a stencilholic. I belong to their stencil club, and I continue to buy. Now this is what, it's a little hard to hold because it's still wet, but this is what it looks like when we're done. So you can, Of course, you can use your modeling paste for this as we just did, but this is one of those techniques where you can very easily use embossing paste or any of the other texture pastes as well. And I'm going to show you what that would look like. There's so many things here to be able to show you gals. This is a stencil using Ferro. And Ferro is a very gritty texture paste. Can you see how gritty it looks? Ferro comes in several colors. Ferro is made by Viva Decor. And it's a very gritty texture paste, but it comes in wonderful metallics. But you can use it through a stencil just like we did with the modeling paste. This is the embossing paste through a stencil. I've done the gold on top and the silver on the bottom. And this is the same stencil, but this is using the texture pastes that I showed you from Finnabair. So you see in the center here we have the graphite, so you can see the black shimmer. Up here we have the platinum crackle. See if we can get you to see the cracks in that. Because it's a very thin coat, the cracks are very fine. You can see it a little more on the gold. And one thing to note, if you're using a paste that does crack, like any of the crackle pastes, the thicker coat that you put on, the wider the cracks will be and more defined. The thinner the coat, the finer the cracks will be. So keep that in mind as you're planning out your projects. If you're looking for something that has very bold cracks in it, then you want to put a thicker coat. If you want finer cracks, then you put a thinner coat. Okay, now I've taken a leaf stencil earlier. This one's already dry. So I'm going to show you now how to add the color over the modeling paste rather than in it the way we did before. I'm going to show you a couple different things. One, we're going to paint over it. Okay, I have just a paintbrush here, and I'm just using the lid, and you can paint right over it. Now, if you really want to be careful, you can, or if you just want to paint the whole thing to be able to see, I guess it would be a 3D texture, then you can just go ahead and paint over the whole thing. Okay. Another thing that you can add to it is, I'm here, is pan pastels. On the blog today, we shared a background technique with pan pastels. I'm just going to pick a little bit, move this out of the way. I'm going to pick a little bit of a green up on a sponge. You can use makeup sponges. You don't have to buy the expensive pan pastel sponges. And you can add the color directly to your dried modeling paste. And it stays beautifully. It really seems to grip into the texture of the paste. Now you can use finer tools, so if I really wanted to be neat and not get it on the card, I could do that. But for demonstration purposes, I think we're just fine. And now let's see, let's try, how about we try an ink pad? I'll use blue this time because it's handy. And you can use a makeup sponge or you can use the applicator tool. Just going to pick up some color. Well, this was a dirty sponge, but that's okay because it's giving me kind of a funky purple blue that I really kind of like. Okay, we'll lift this back up. Do I spray a fixative over the Pan Pastel? Yeah, I generally do once I'm completely done with the project. Pan Pastel is a chalk. It's a very, very fine pigment. So if it doesn't stay, it doesn't like to stay unless it gives it a reason to. It needs something to stick to it. The only time I don't use a fixative is if, for example, we did the background today on the blog where we stamped with Versamark. And then we added the Pan Pastel over top because the Versamark will grip the Pan Pastel, so you shouldn't need a fixative. You can color through the stencil too. You can lay the stencil right over once it's dry, but you really can't add the color until it's dry. But if you want to lay the stencil over, then you can certainly do that. So I have one more down here. So let's take some suggestions on what you'd like me to color the bottom one with to see what it looks like. Anything you'd like to see me color with? We've shown you paint. We've shown you ink sprays. We've shown gelatos. Let's see what else. Okay, well, I'll put this aside, and if we get a suggestion, we'll just grab it and finish it up. Okay, moving right along. Okay. When you do your tag, oh, alcohol ink or a gelato, sure. A rubber stamp with text. Okay, well, okay. All right, we've got you covered. Hold on. I've got an ink pad. Let me grab alcohol inks. And we've got gelatos right there. Okay. Here we go. Okay, these are the new Colorbox Teresa Collins archival ink pads. I love them. And be sure to follow my site in the coming weeks because we have a product spotlight on Colorbox where we'll be giving away the entire set of 8 of these ink pads. So I'm going to ink up a basic text stamp, tiny text. It is from Recollections. I think I picked this up at Michael's. And look at that. So we know that works. All right, let's try alcohol ink. You get a little brush. Okay. I could put it on foam, but I don't want to get up and have to go find that. So we'll just take a little of the color from this and paint with the alcohol inks. And it works just beautifully. I wonder, hey, what's the worst that could happen, right? Pour it right on there. And it soaks it right up, although it does not keep the archival ink, of course, since it's alcohol based. And the gelato. I have a pink gelato out here still. You should see the way I work. I'm just going to scribble a little here, grab a clean paintbrush with a little bit of water on it, and now we will paint it. And that works just great too. I think what makes the modeling paste work well with so many different color mediums is the finish, because it is a chalk-like finish, so it really grips the color. Okay. To follow the blog, it's www.irreversiblymoi.com, and it will be in the email. It looks flat from what I can see. Glossy or flat surface. Do you mean the modeling paste? Modeling paste is generally flat or matte. Texture paste can be either glossy or matte, depending on the type that it is. And embossing pastes are generally gloss. Yes, definitely more flat. Okay. So I encourage you to take a stencil and add modeling paste through the stencil on your tag or surface, and when it dries, add some color to it. Can you do gelato direct to modeling paste? Absolutely you can, and then buff it in with your finger or with a sponge or anything you like. Absolutely. Okay. Okay, now we're going to show you another way that you can use these texture pastes. And I'm going to just take modeling paste right from the container and spread it out on my surface. Now, I can be really neat if I want, but it almost doesn't matter for what I'm going to do next. Now, you can do this directly to your work surface. So if you're doing it in your art journal, you can spread it right in your art journal. But what you can do is use texture tools in them. So let's say you were doing an art journal page about water. You could use a texture tool or even the end of a paintbrush. And this is using a texture tool by Catalyst. If you are in the art journaling art supply kit from our site, this is in this month's kit. But you'll see now you'll have your waves and it'll dry like that. Then you can add your color over it. So maybe we didn't like that. We'll just smooth this back out. And you can take anything at all and you can add texture. This is just a craft stick, a popsicle stick. It's sticking, but we can do whatever we want. And now we have a different texture. Don't like it? Smooth it out. And try a toothbrush. And it will give you different peaks. This happens to be a toothbrush that has a higher peak on it. So that's the one that's going to show your texture. If it's a flat one, then it will be more uniform peaks. So that's another one. Now the Catalyst tools come in, come in different tips. So here's a different one. And this will give you just like a comb. If you have an old comb in your bathroom you're not using, you can use it for your modeling paste. And you can spread it right out. So you can add all sorts of fun texture to your modeling paste with whatever you happen to have around. So if you're playing with us tonight, spread some out and grab whatever you have and see what kind of patterns or textures you can make in it. And then let it dry and watch the magic happen. Okay, good night, Barbara. We'll send you the links. So I'll let you play for a couple of minutes with the texture, and then I'm going to show you one of my favorite techniques. Give you a few minutes to play. And I'm just going to clean off a rubber stamp for the next technique that we're doing. Okay, I'm not sure if anyone's playing, so if you are, stop me. Okay, well, we'll just go ahead and jump in. I'm going to take some modeling paste and spread it down on my tag. I want to have a thick but not too thick coat. Okay, and I really want to get most of the bottom at least partially covered for this. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a rubber stamp and we're going to stamp into the modeling paste. Now, I'm using this stamp, and the reason I chose this stamp is because it has thicker lines in the design. To do this technique using a stamp with very fine images, such as this one that we used to stamp on the leaves, this won't work. You need bolder lines. So perhaps a bold flower or another bold image. But you'll spread out your modeling paste, let it dry for a minute or so. I find that spritzing your stamp quickly with water helps a little bit. And then stamp and press into your modeling paste. Now, it might look pretty messy now, but I do have a dry one and a completed one. I'm going to lift this up and I'll show you some. Okay, so I don't know if you really be able to see the texture on. There you go. You can see the texture from the stamp in there. Now, earlier, I used the same stamp and I did this and I let it dry. You can see a little bit of the texture in there. But what I love to do with this is to add my buddy Inca Gold. Now this is completely dry. Water and modeling paste can work together, in fact, because it is water-based. You can add a little water to thin it, but it won't really affect the performance of it unless you put too much water. To seal these, okay, I'll show you the results. It's a little hard to see with white on white, but sometimes I seal things. I like to use a fixative in my art journals because I know things are going to rub together when we open and close the pages. But if it's going to canvas or something that'll hang on the wall, I don't usually put a fixative. I know. Camera does hate white. So here, if you can see a little bit, let's see. I don't know. Can you see the texture a little bit there? So I am going to open up my Inca Gold, and I will put the camera down so you can see, and you'll really get to see the images. My hand doesn't really work very well with the surgery, so it takes me a little while to open jars. And gosh, does it hurt to open jars. Okay. All right. Here we go. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the Inca Gold and using my finger, just buff it in. You can see the writing start to come to life from the stamp. Now, I do find that you need to use a fair bit amount of the Inca Gold. It just seems to get sucked right in by the modeling paste. We'll add a little bit of green. I love this technique. Since I'm such a fan of texture, this one to me is just delicious. Okay. We'll add a silver now. I think Inca Gold was in one of the art journaling supply kits a couple of months ago. Let's add a little bit of silver, and then we'll finish up with a graphite. Now you can blend your colors really well if you'd like. I'm just doing this real quick so we can see how cool it looks. Ah. And then, there you go. So I have several colors here, but you can do it all in one color. Let's see if hard shimmer. I will take photos of these and I will post them for y'all so you can see. But here's one that I've done already in a different color palette. There we go. Here I've done golds and tans, a little bit of green to make it look like an old postage card. The image on the stamp was a postmark with a little bit of writing. The colors that I used for the Inca Gold were green, yellow, greeny yellow it's called, and turquoise, and ice blue, which I really think is more of a silver, but that's just me, and graphite. There used to be a product on the market called Rub and Buff that would do the same thing. To do something like this, you really need something very waxy. You can do something very similar, though, with gelatos, because that is a little bit more waxy. But I would pick up the color with your finger and then rub it on. You might need to add a little bit of water to it first. But Inca Gold will give it the shimmer that the gelatos, most of them won't. So, okay. Okay. All right. Now, another way that you can use, oh, and you can, by the way, stamp into texture paste and embossing paste. So you can get some really, really cool looks by stamping into your pastes. Now, the next thing I want to show you, it's a little bit difficult to demonstrate because it requires some drying time, but I have just taken modeling paste, and this again will work with embossing paste or texture paste, but I've just spread it on the tag, and then I've pressed keys, buttons, and different embellishments there. They will stick without any glue. The texture paste or modeling paste will hold just about anything you stick to it. And then when it dried, I sprayed it with the Cool Gray Delusions ink spray. And then I can take this and add it to a card or add it to my art journal page and finish it up. So here's before I've added color and here's after. But you could paint over this or add really any of your color mediums. But here's one sprayed and one without. But all I did was spread out the modeling paste, press some embellishments into it, and let it dry. And these aren't going anywhere. Amazon does have a huge selection of Inca Gold colors. Yep. Okay. So before I finish up here, tell me what your impressions are of texture pastes and modeling pastes and embossing pastes. Just type in the chat and let me know what your thoughts are. Embossing paste in England. If you'll send me an email, Sandra, I know of some place you might be able to get it. And I'm pretty sure they do a mail order business, but send me an email at irreversiblymoi@gmail.com. And I'll send you a couple links of places that I believe sell it. Or doesn't Amazon have a UK, so you're not paying international shipping? Because Amazon sells it as well. Jude, I promise you it is easy. It's if you can spread butter on your bread or frosting on your cake, then you can use embossing pastes. Flexible and light and regular modeling paste. Flexible, when it dries, will be more flexible. It won't crack. You could get some cracking. Oh, that was wet. Let me find one that's done. You could get some cracking with some of the regular ones. This one I can make crack if I really wanted to, but it's not that thick. Flexible and light have more of a bend to it. So I would try that. Paste on my laptop now. Joni, I have it on my elbows. I have it on my splint. I have it everywhere. But I really love using texture paste because you can take a page from good to amazing just by adding texture and then some colors. So so what I want to do is kind of tie it together, and let's just finish up with talking about those folks in our life that we wrote their names on the back of our techniques. So just one step back, of the techniques that you saw tonight, some of you mentioned that you really like to do, you see it with stencils, or you know, it looks really easy to do. But what words would you use to describe texture paste, and be it modeling paste or embossing paste or the Prima texture paste? What words would you use to describe them? The pastes. I use tags because it's a small work surface. I don't have to create an entire page. I can take the tag and play with it, practice techniques, and if I like it, hold on to it and use it on one of my art journaling pages, or on a card, or a scrapbook page, or a mixed media project. So what words would you use to describe texture pastes? Melanie, I too. I love working with the stencils with it, and I love stamping into it. Yummy, that's a great one. Well, you can see each one is similar, but they are a little bit different too. And that's just like the people in your life. Each project, or each time you use texture paste or embossing paste, you're going to get a little bit different finish or look. And each of the people in your life are unique as well. When your tags are dry, or when your work surface, if you used cardstock or an art journal to play, when that's dry, I encourage you to do some free writing or journaling on the back of each of them for each of the people that that you wrote about, that you named. And in the handout that I send after class, I'll include some prompts to get you going when you think about these people. But here's a few that you can get you started. How is this person different? How are they unique? What lessons have you learned from them? Do they add or take away joy in your life? And let me give you a quick example. I have someone in my life who I loved deeply. We confided in each other. We loved each other very, very much. But there were a lot of problems in the relationship. There were promises that weren't kept. There were lies. Just a rough time overall. And I still love them. And I resisted letting go in the relationship. So it wasn't until I stepped back away from the person that I got to, well, let me put it this way. I would take a step back and I'd realize I was happier, but something would always suck me back into the relationship. So I finally realized that the relationship was causing me emotionally more harm than good. So what I did was, when I was away from the person and in a happier place, I reflected on them and I journaled about them. And this is where I thought about how texture pastes are very similar, but they're very different. And just like this person, I really needed to think about the qualities in them and where they left me. I had to think about this person, and I journaled about all of their qualities, their good and their bad, how they made me feel, what lessons they taught me about myself and about life. And on paper, I was able to see really clearly that as much as I loved them, they really took away more joy than they added to my life. So they also taught me things. They taught me a lot of things, and I'm very grateful for that. And this person remains a friend in my life. But journaling about them helped me to define the boundaries that were necessary for me to move on and really be happy. So try to think about that, and think about each unique property of the texture paste you're working with. Think about the unique qualities of the people in your life. Even when you think about somebody that rubs you the wrong way, what lessons have they taught you? Have they added or taken away from your joy? And really think about what role that person should play in your life. So what are your thoughts about the texture connection? Thinking about the qualities of texture pastes while thinking about the qualities of the people in our life. And we're just about done here. Right. A little bit goes a long way. It does. Glass bead gel is a ton of fun. Watercolors will definitely work on modeling paste. Yep. Layering is so much fun, Joni. I love doing the layering with that. So tell me about the connection between the unique qualities of texture paste and embossing pastes and the unique qualities of the people in our lives. I don't know if you can hear my dogs barking, but my daughter-in-law just came home, and my dogs are letting me know that she's here. Okay. Well, I really don't see comments on that, and I understand it's kind of a tough situation to discuss. Great. Texture, color, shape, adding, absolutely. So before we go, I wanted to share with you some really exciting news. I'm not going to throw a sales pitch at you, really. Just wanted to tell you about some exciting things going on. The recipe, Arlene, for the paste is going to be in the handout, which I send you right after the webinar with the replay. You heard me mention about the art journaling, art supplies monthly kit club. There's 3 different kits to choose from, but really what makes our kits a little bit different is that every month you not only get the products, but you get a members only site where there's PDFs explaining what the products are, links for resources, pictures, the actual retail price for them so you know how much you're saving, and most importantly, you get videos on how to use the product. So no other kit club out there is going to show you exactly how to use these products. So it's not like it's a page kit for scrapbooking, but it really is a technique kit more than anything, and it shows you how to use different techniques in mixed media and art supplies. So I invite you to check those out. But here's the really exciting news. A lot of people have been asking me for classes. So after tonight's webinar, 3 classes will be available for purchase, and they start at $10. There's a Home Sweet Home Art Journal layout class, which also can be done on a canvas. There's mixed media cards with Delusion spray and mixed media cards with gelatos. And those 2 are my favorite because any of the techniques that you learn in either one of those, we're doing them on a card, but you can use them in your art journaling or any mixed media project at all. So really they're to teach you the technique and how the different products work together. Both of the classes we work with modeling pastes, but we work with so many other things too. One of the mixed media with Delusions Inks has 8 videos, and mixed media cards with gelatos has 11 videos. So lots of different techniques. So as a bonus for joining me tonight, and this only lasts until the 14th, so we have 6 more days, if you join any of the kit clubs, you'll get the Home Sweet Home class for free. And if you purchase both mixed media card classes, you'll also get that class for free. And if you happen to do both the art supply kit as well as the class, then you'll not only get the Home Sweet Home class, you'll get my ebook, crushing that inner critic, and you'll receive a stamp set and 2 ink pads. So those are only available until the 14th. I'll send that in the email as well. I will stay online and chat for a few minutes if you have any questions. If not, about 10 minutes after we sign off, I will send you the link with the replay, with the handout, and other links. And what else was like? Oh, and of course the email address, or rather website address that a few people had asked for. So what supplies are going to be in there? Melanie, in where? In the art supply kits? They change every month. On the first of the month, we have a reveal in our private Facebook group. But in the past, we've had glass bead gel, we've had Distress Ink, Inca Gold, Viva Decor paper pens. Gosh, I'm trying to think. We've had the Feud Ball pens that write over everything. Oh my gosh, so many different things. If you go on the site, you'll be able to see what's been in a couple of past kits. But if you have any specific questions, just shoot me an email or ask me in chat. So I'll stay on for a few minutes. Darlene, I love that you said some people are sticky. That is really true. And Jean, people leave imprints in our lives like when you use paste. That's fabulous. That needs to be in an art journal page. Absolutely, Rose. It's my pleasure. I hope to have another one next month. I think the next workshop we'll do is possibly all different fun and funky ways to use your jelly plate prints. That's what I was thinking of doing next. My favorite Stencil Girl stencil. Ooh. Gosh, that's tough. I had a different one. Oh, Carol, that's so sweet. I'll definitely be doing more. Trish is a member of our kit club. She loves our kits too. Let's see. This is my new favorite, but it seems to change every month when I get the new ones. Oh, I'm so glad, Gilda. Come back to the next one. Okay, great. So, okay, maybe it will be the jelly plate. I have so many jelly plate prints, and then I have to sit and figure out what to do them with. So we're going to have a lot of, you haven't got a voice. I think the Stencil Girl Club is worth it if you're addicted to stencils. You get 3 every month, and you get a reveal and find out what they are. I just love stencils. I don't think you can ever have enough. So, white pen and white will write all over. Okay, I'll tell you 2. One that I use for just journaling is the Signo Uniball. I love this one. For thicker paints, though, I use Montana markers. These are really great. They are acrylic paint in a marker form. They write over everything, and they dry beautifully. So I really love the Montana. I have had Posco in the past, and they're okay. You can find those on Amazon, but I don't think they're as good as the Montana. Now, the Montana aren't cheap. They're about $5 a marker. So I would say just get a white or get a black and see if you like them. But those are the ones I use. So the Montanas and the Signo Uniball. You're welcome, Lynn. 3+ videos, ideas, etc. Paper for theirs. Okay. Well, good. I'm so glad everyone seemed to enjoy it. Please let me know if there's any feedback you have to make these even better. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, Sandra. If there's anything at all that I can do to make your workshop experience even better, please let me know. Be sure to visit the site. There's always so much good information there. If I don't say so myself, I made a site that filled all my needs when I was looking for an art and art journaling site. So it's chock full of good stuff for you. Thank you, Sandra. I do teach journal classes. I have one up there that's going out tonight. It's the Home Sweet Home class. And there'll be a book of me art journaling class that will be coming out in a month or so. And any specific journal classes that you're interested in, shoot me an email, let me know. The mixed media classes that I announced, the card classes, it's really misleading because all of the techniques in there can be used in your art journal, and that's really where they came from. But rather than spending hours to make an art journal page, doing cards allowed me to include a lot more in the workshop than just one art journal page. This allowed me to teach you many different techniques. Oh my goodness, Carol, 9 tags, yay! Well, use the info in the handout. You can journal on the back about 9 people in your life. Oh, good. Absolutely. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Trish. Let's see if this light makes any difference. Jane, does that light make any difference at all? Oh, good, Joni. Yay. Good night, Jude. Thank you. This stencil. This stencil was in the Kit Club, so it's exclusive to Kit Club members for Stencil Girl. Absolutely. I'll stay on for another couple minutes if anyone has any questions. And if not, then I'll just sign off and send you all the replay and the links. And the handout. Okay. All right. Well, you know what, Jane? I do appreciate that feedback. I am going to experiment with some different lighting and see if we can fix that for a future webinar. I do expect to do another one next month. Oh. Okay. I know, Carol. I love it. All right. Well, if nobody has any other questions, then I guess I will bid you good night. The recipe, Rose, will be sent in the email. As soon as we're done here, I will get that email sent to you all, and it does have the recipe for homemade modeling paste. Okay. All right, everyone. Good night. Please let me know if you have feedback or questions. I'm here to help you in your artful journey. If you have ideas for classes, art journal workshops, just let me know, and we'll see what we can do. So I want to make sure that you're getting the value that the best value that I can give you. So even if it is for free. So have a great night and create something every day. Good night.